Wesley sat in a cramped studio apartment in Da Nang, Vietnam, staring at the ceiling fan that barely moved the humid air. He lost $540,000 in Thailand. His wife, his son, or what he thought was his son, 12 years of his life. And the worst part? He handed it all over willingly, ignored every warning sign, and convinced himself it was love. 12 years. 12 years of my life that I'll never get back. 12 years of believing we were building something real, that she actually loved me, that I was finally going to have the family I'd always wanted. Thailand taught him a lesson he'd never forget. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. In fact, some of the brightest smiles hide the darkest intentions. Love isn't enough when greed is involved, and in Thailand, for many bar girls, love is just another word for business. Let him take you back to 2010. Wesley was 60 years old, American, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he'd just finalized his divorce. After 32 years of marriage, his ex-wife decided she'd rather be with her yoga instructor, a man 15 years younger than Wesley. She took half of everything, including his dignity. Wesley had approximately $475,000 after the settlement. It was supposed to be his retirement nest egg money he'd spent 3 decades building through his heating and air conditioning business. He'd worked 6-day weeks for years, building a successful HVAC company in New Mexico, only to watch half of it disappear in divorce court. His ex-wife's betrayal left him hollow. After 32 years of marriage, 3 kids who sided with their mother, and a business he'd built with his own hands being divided by lawyers, Wesley felt like he'd spent his entire life doing the right thing and got punished for it. At 60, divorced, with grown children who barely spoke to him, he felt old and used up. Wesley had been researching retirement destinations for months. Thailand kept appearing in expat forums. Low cost of living, beautiful weather, friendly people. A buddy from his Lions Club had retired to Pattaya and kept sending emails about how great life was, how far a dollar stretched, how much respect older men got, how easy everything was. Wesley thought he was exaggerating. He wasn't exaggerating about the money part. He was lying about everything else. In March 2010, Wesley arrived in Pattaya with 2 suitcases and a one-way ticket. The heat hit him like opening an oven door. The streets smelled like grilled meat, fish sauce, and motorcycle exhaust. Everywhere he looked, older Western men walked hand in hand with young Thai women. He thought it looked strange. Within 6 months, he'd be one of them. Wesley rented a 1-bedroom condo in Jom Tien for 12,000 baht, about $400. He was spending maybe $1,500 a month total, living better than he had in New Mexico. He had an ocean view, ate out every meal, got massages twice a week. Life felt simple. If he'd kept things simple, none of this would have happened. But Wesley wasn't thinking about simple. He was thinking about companionship, about not dying alone in a foreign country. And that's when he met her. Wesley had been in Thailand for 4 months when he met Kulita. He'd been avoiding the bar scene. It seemed sad, desperate, transactional. But his buddy Frank convinced him to check out a place off Soi Bua Khao. Just have a beer, relax. Nobody's gonna bite you, Frank said. Wesley figured one night wouldn't hurt. Kulita was working behind the bar, not on the floor. She was 27 years old, with long black hair she kept in a neat ponytail, and when she smiled, it reached her eyes, or so Wesley thought. She wasn't dressed provocatively like the other girls. She wore jeans and a simple t-shirt. She seemed different. That's what they all think. She came over to take his order. Her English was pretty good. They started talking. She asked where he was from, what brought him to Thailand, the usual questions. But she actually seemed interested. She laughed at his jokes. She told him about her family up in Udon Thani province, how she came to Pattaya to make money because there were no jobs in her village. Within 30 minutes, she told him her story. She was from a poor farming village. Her father had died 2 years ago. Her mother was sick, diabetes, high blood pressure. She had a younger brother still in school. She'd come to Pattaya because she could make in 1 month what would take 6 months in Isan. She said she sent most of her money home. She had a 6-year-old daughter from a previous relationship the Thai boyfriend had left when the baby was born. Wesley felt something shift in his chest. This woman was working in a bar, supporting her entire family, raising a kid alone. Kulita wasn't like the other girls laughing too loud and sitting on men's laps. She seemed genuine, hard-working, trapped by circumstances. Wesley thought he could help her. He thought he could save her. I know what you're thinking. Old American guy meets young bar worker, thinks she's different, thinks he's special. But with Kulita, it felt different. She didn't ask me for anything that first night. She gave me her line ID and said, "If you want to talk sometime, okay. If not, okay too." I thought that showed class. I thought it meant she wasn't just after money. I was already fooling myself. The first transaction happened 3 days later. They'd been messaging back and forth. She mentioned her daughter needed school supplies, uniforms, books, shoes. It was 3,000 baht, about $90. Wesley sent it without hesitation. She sent him photos of her daughter in the new uniform. He felt good about it. He felt like he was doing something meaningful. But there was a small inconsistency Wesley noticed but ignored. When she talked about her ex, she always changed the subject quickly. When he asked if the father helped with their daughter, she got vague. "He's not around," she'd say. "No good, man." Wesley should have pressed. He didn't want to be rude. That reluctance to seem rude cost him everything. Over the next 2 months, they became a couple. Wesley paid her 25,000 baht a month, about $750, so she could quit the bar. They'd meet almost every day. She introduced him to her daughter, a sweet kid named Fa. They went to the beach, went to dinner, acted like a family. Wesley hadn't felt this way in years. Needed, important, like he mattered to someone. Wesley thought he'd found a second chance at life. He was wrong. Over the next 6 months, life felt like a dream. Wesley would wake up, meet Kulita for breakfast, spend the day together, beach, shopping, whatever she wanted. She'd cook for him sometimes at his condo. Her daughter started calling him Papa Wes. For the first time since his divorce, Wesley felt like he belonged somewhere. His Social Security and a small pension gave him about $3,800 a month. Rent was $400, his own expenses maybe $800. The 25,000 baht to Kulita was another $750. He was saving over $1,000 a month. The numbers worked. He felt stable. Then came the first emergency. Kulita's mother needed medication, insulin, blood pressure pills, 15,000 baht. Wesley didn't want to say no. If he did, what kind of man would that make him? What if her mother died because he was cheap? He sent it. Looking back, this was the pattern establishing itself. Every no made him feel guilty. Every yes made him feel like a hero. The guilt cost less than the heroism felt good. In November 2010, after 9 months together, Kulita's family started asking when they'd get married. Thai culture, she explained. Her family was traditional. People in her village were gossiping. She'd cry sometimes, saying she felt like his gik, his mistress, not his real girlfriend. Wesley hadn't planned on marriage so fast, but he also didn't want to lose her. Then came Sinsot. Kulita's family wanted 300,000 baht, about $9,000. Wesley was shocked. That was a year's worth of his savings, Kulita cried. Her mother wouldn't approve the marriage without it. It was about face, about showing the village that Kulita wasn't just running away with some foreigner. After 2 weeks of tension, they negotiated down to 200,000 baht, $6,000. Wesley agreed. What he didn't know was that a quarter of that would actually go to her mother. The rest would disappear. In January 2011, they married in Udon Thani. The ceremony was in Kulita's village, a traditional Buddhist ceremony with monks. The whole village invited, roasted pigs, whiskey flowing. The ceremony cost another 60,000 baht, $1,800. Then they did the paperwork at the Amphur office in town. Wesley was officially married under Thai law. They flew back to Pattaya as husband and wife. Wesley did the math on the plane. At this point, He'd spent approximately $47,000 total. Breakdown. Initial help and gifts, $3,500. Monthly allowances 9 months, $6,750. Sinsot, $6,000 wedding, $1,800 family, emergencies, and extras, $5,200 total, $23,250. Wesley still had about $450,000. He felt comfortable. The wedding was over. The expenses would calm down now. They were married. Things would stabilize. When they got back to Pattaya, things seemed good at first. Kulita moved into Wesley's condo officially. Her daughter Fa stayed with Kulita's mother up in Izan during school term, visited during breaks. Wesley thought marriage would bring them closer, make everything feel more secure. He was wrong. Marriage was just the beginning of the real bleeding. The first year of marriage felt normal. Enough. Routine. They'd wake up, have breakfast, she'd clean while he read news online, they'd go out for lunch, come home, watch Thai TV dramas, eat dinner. Simple life. Wesley and Kulita lived in his one-bedroom Jomtien condo. Rent was 12,000 baht, about $400. His monthly expenses looked like this. Rent, $400. Food and daily expenses, $600. Kulita's allowance, $750. Sending money to her family, $300. Utilities. Internet, MISC, $200. Total, $2,250. His income was $3,800. He was still saving over $1,500 a month. The math still worked. Wesley felt responsible, in control. Kulita was generally pleasant. She'd smile, cook sometimes, join him for dinners out. She was affectionate enough, not passionate, but comfortable. Wesley thought this was what marriage looked like after the honeymoon phase wore off. One day, Kulita saw a gold necklace at a jewelry shop in Central Festival. 2 grams of gold, a simple Buddha pendant. 18,000 baht, about $540. Wesley bought it. It made her happy for 3 days. Then the necklace went into a drawer. But that phrase destroyed him. It's only $500. Because it happened dozens of times. 3 months after the wedding, Kulita's mother fell and needed to go to the hospital. The bill was 30,000 baht. Kulita was crying on the phone with her sister. Wesley asked what was wrong. "My mother might die," she said, tears streaming down her face. Wesley sent the money immediately. It felt like the right thing to do. Her mother recovered quickly. This happened twice more that year, once for her brother's school fees, once for roof repairs on the family house. Each time, 20 to 40,000 baht. Each time, immediate and urgent. Each time, Wesley sent it. One evening, they were at a restaurant with Frank and his Thai girlfriend, Som. Som mentioned she'd just bought a new iPhone. Kulita went quiet. On the walk home, she said, "Frank takes care of Som. You take care of me too, right?" Wesley felt a knot in his stomach. He bought her the iPhone the next day, 23,000 baht. It made him feel inadequate, like he wasn't measuring up to other foreign men. That comparison game is poison. She started going to the salon weekly instead of monthly nails, hair, spa treatments. 1,500 baht every week. Wesley didn't say anything. What was he going to do, tell his wife she couldn't take care of herself? She'd say, "You want me look nice for you, right?" And Wesley would feel like the bad guy. Wesley was lonely. Most of his interactions were with Kulita and occasionally Frank. His kids back home rarely called. He had no hobbies beyond reading and walking on the beach. Kulita had become his entire world. That dependency made every no feel like risking everything. By the end of 2011, 12 months after the wedding, Wesley had spent another $32,000, 47,000, plus 32 was 79,000 total since meeting her. Cumulative spending, $79,000. He was down to $396,000. Still a substantial cushion, but the rate of spending had increased. He told himself it would stabilize. It never did. Then Kulita started talking about buying a house. This was when things went from bad to catastrophic. In January 2012, Kulita said, "Wesley, we should have our own house, not rent. Our house? For family." She painted a picture, a nice house in a quiet Muban, a yard where Fa could play when she visited, a guest room for when his kids might visit from America, a place that felt like home. The house she had in mind was in a housing development near Pattaya, 3 bedrooms, Western-style kitchen, small yard. Price, 2.8 million baht, about $84,000. Wesley's immediate reaction was panic. That was nearly 20% of his remaining savings. But more than that, foreigners can't own land in Thailand. If they bought a house, it would be in her name. Legally, he'd own nothing. His concerns were immediate. The house would be in her name. If they divorced, he'd have nothing. $84,000 was a huge chunk of his retirement. What if the housing market crashed? What if they needed to sell? Kulita had answers for everything. "Wesley, we married. I'm your wife. You don't trust me? In Thailand, wife take care of everything. This is normal. You think I'm going to leave you? We have family together. The money we're paying rent now, every year, that's almost $5,000 gone forever. If we buy, that's our house. Investment. When you die, Fa will have house. You want your daughter on the street? About risk Thailand property only go up. Pattaya growing every year. We can always sell if we need money." Wesley's friend Frank warned him. "Wes, man, don't do it. That house won't be yours. You're signing away 90 grand to her. If things go south, you'll be on the street." But Frank's girlfriend Sam made comments too. "Frank and me have house already. 2 bedrooms, near beach. Very nice." Kulita would hear this and her face would tighten. "Sam has house. I have nothing." Wesley started to rationalize. He went through the mental gymnastics every man in his situation goes through. First, he thought about the rent, $4,800 a year, disappearing into nothing. Over 10 years, that was $48,000. Buying started to seem reasonable by comparison. Second, he thought about Kulita's daughter. Fa was a sweet kid. If something happened to him, at least she'd have a home. That felt noble. Third, he thought about his marriage. If he said no, what message did that send? That he didn't trust her? That she was just a bar girl he'd rented? Wesley wanted to believe this was real. Saying yes made it feel real. Fourth, he convinced himself that Kulita wouldn't screw him over. She needed him. Where would she? Find another foreigner willing to marry her, support her family, take care of her kid? He had leverage, or so he thought. The legal reality was stark. Foreigners can't own land in Thailand outright. He could own the structure, the house itself, but not the land beneath it. In practice, this meant nothing. If Kulita wanted him out, he'd be out. He'd heard stories. Guys waking up to changed locks. Guys beaten by her brothers and driven to the airport. Guys discovering their wife had sold the house while they were visiting home. But Wesley told himself, that won't happen to me. Those guys probably treated their wives badly. I treat Kulita well. Famous last words. Over the next 3 months, they went through the process. They toured houses. Kulita picked the one she wanted, a corner lot, bigger than needed, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, fancy kitchen. The asking price was 2.8 million, but Wesley negotiated down to 2.6 million baht, about $78,000. Then came the furniture, 60,000 baht, appliances, 40,000, landscaping, 20,000, legal fees, transfer taxes, 30,000. Final total cost, 2.75 million baht, $82,500. During the purchase process, there was a moment, a red flag Wesley should have seen. They were at the land office doing the paperwork. Everything was in Thai. Wesley asked Kulita to translate. She waved her hand. Just signing paper. Standard, don't worry. Wesley signed. Later, Frank told him he should have hired a translator, gotten everything explained. Wesley hadn't wanted to offend Kulita by implying he didn't trust her. That misplaced politeness cost him everything. By April 2012, the house was complete and they moved in. Wesley had spent $82,500. His total cumulative spending since meeting Kulita was now $161,500, over a third of his starting savings. He was down to approximately $313,500, about 66% of where he'd started. His monthly expenses hadn't decreased like he'd hoped. No rent was nice, but the house had costs. Electricity bills tripled because Kulita kept the aircon running all day. Water bills, property taxes, maintenance fund fees for the Muban, garden upkeep. His monthly costs actually went up by about $200. When they first moved in, Wesley felt proud. This was his house, well, legally hers, but it felt like theirs. He'd walk around the yard in the morning with his coffee, feeling accomplished. Kulita seemed happy. She invited her sisters to visit, showed off the house, posted photos on Facebook. Wesley thought, this is what I worked for. This is success. He was wrong. The house wasn't the end of the expenses. It was just the beginning of a new phase. By mid-2012, about 6 months after moving into the house, things started to shift. Kulita wanted to start a small business, a Thai massage shop. She said she was bored at home all day. She missed working, missed having her own money. The shop would give her purpose. She found a small storefront on a side street near 3rd Road. Rent was 15,000 baht a month. She needed money for renovation and decorating, massage beds, towels and supplies, business license, and marketing. Total startup, 350,000 baht, about $10,500. Wesley felt trapped. If he said no, he'd be the controlling husband who kept his wife locked at home. Kulita framed it as independence. I don't want to ask you for money all the time. I want to make my own money. It sounded reasonable. Wesley gave her the money. The massage shop opened in August 2012. For the first month, Kulita was there every day, excited, posting photos. By month 2, she was showing up 3 days a week. By month 3, she'd hired a friend to manage it, and rarely went at all. The shop made maybe 20,000 baht a month in revenue, barely enough to cover rent, electricity, and paying the staff. Every month, Kulita would say, shop need more money for supplies, repairs, advertising. Another 10,000 here, 20,000 there. Over the next year, Wesley put in an additional 120,000 baht, about $3,600, to keep the shop afloat. Then came the pregnancy. In March 2013, Kulita told Wesley she was pregnant. He was 63 years old. He hadn't expected to be a father again. But when Kulita told him, tears in her eyes, hand on her stomach, something in Wesley cracked open. A son, a chance to be a father again, to do it right this time. His kids in America were grown and distant. This was a second chance. The pregnancy added new costs. Private hospital for checkups, 3,000 baht per visit every month. Special vitamins and supplements. New clothes as she grew, preparing a nursery. Baby supplies. Wesley didn't care about the money. He was going to be a father again. Their son was born in November 2013. They named him Charlie, Wesley's father's name. When the nurse handed Wesley that baby, he wept. This was real. This was his family. Everything he'd spent, everything he'd invested, it was worth it for this moment. But there was something Wesley noticed immediately and ignored. Charlie looked nothing like him. Wesley was pale, blue-eyed, with light brown hair in his youth. Charlie came out with dark skin, almost brown, with jet black hair and dark eyes. Wesley thought, babies change. Genetics are weird. Maybe he takes after Kulita's father. Kulita's explanation was ready. My father very dark skin. Charlie looked like my daddy. Wesley wanted to believe her, so he did. The financial impact of having a baby was immediate. Diapers, 1,500 baht per week. Formula because Kulita said she couldn't breastfeed, 3,000 per month. Doctor visits, 5,000 every month for checkups and vaccines. New furniture, clothes, toys. In the first year of Charlie's life, Wesley spent an additional $48,000 on baby-related expenses. But the real issue wasn't the baby costs. It was Kulita's family. Her mother suddenly needed a new house. The old one was falling apart, 70,000 baht. Her brother needed a motorcycle for his new job, 45,000 baht. Her sister's husband lost his job. Could Wesley help with rice money for a few months? 20,000 baht per month for 6 months? An uncle died, funeral expenses, 30,000 baht. Wesley started to notice a pattern. Over the 3 years from 2013 to 2015, he'd sent approximately 270,000 baht to Kulita's family, about $81,000, in addition to regular monthly allowances. That was more than the house had cost. When he tried to bring it up, Kulita would cry, "You don't understand Thai culture. Family is everything. You want my mother to be homeless? You want my brother to have no job? What kind of man are you?" The relationship itself had changed. They rarely had sex anymore, maybe once a month, and it felt obligatory. Kulita was always on her phone, typing in Thai, laughing at messages. When Wesley asked who she was talking to, she'd say, "My sister," or "my friend." She started going out more, just to salon, or meeting friend for coffee. She'd be gone for 4 or 5 hours. When Wesley called, she'd sound annoyed. "Why you checking on me? I'm not a child." Wesley's friends started acting strange too. Frank pulled him aside one day at a bar. "Wes, I don't know how to tell you this, but people are talking. Someone said they saw Kulita at a karaoke place in town with a Thai guy. I don't know if it's true, but..." Wesley cut him off. "Frank, man, that's gossip. You know how Thais love to gossip. Kulita wouldn't do that." But the seed was planted. By the end of 2015, Wesley had spent $338,000 since meeting Kulita, 71% of his starting savings. Financial breakdown. Previous spending, through house purchase, $161,500, massage shop investment, and ongoing losses, $15,200. Baby costs first 2 years, $48,000. Family emergencies and demands, $81,000. Ongoing monthly expenses and allowances, $32,300. Total, $338,000. Wesley had about $137,000 left, less than 30% of what he'd started with. His monthly Social Security and pension still came in at $3,800, but between the house costs, baby expenses, allowances, and family demands, he was now spending $4,200 a month, running a deficit of $400 monthly. He was slowly bleeding out what remained. Wesley felt trapped. He'd invested too much to walk away. He had a son. He had a house. He had a life here. Walking away meant admitting he'd wasted 5 years and $300,000. The sunk cost fallacy had its teeth in him deep. Then one evening in March 2016, Wesley's entire world shattered. March 18th, 2016, Wesley was at home with Charlie, who was 2.5. Kulita had gone to the salon. She'd been gone for 6 hours. Wesley was changing Charlie's diaper when Kulita's phone, left on the kitchen counter, buzzed. Wesley glanced at it. The message preview was in Thai, but he recognized one word, "darling," in English, in the middle of Thai script. His stomach dropped. He picked up the phone. It wasn't locked. Kulita had never bothered with security around him. He opened Line messaging app. The most recent conversation was with a contact saved as. Wesley used Google Translate with his own phone, taking pictures of the Thai messages. The messages made his hands shake. From Kulita that morning. "I miss you so much, baby. When are you coming to visit? I hate pretending with this old man. From, soon, darling. Did he give you money for the motorbike? Yet? From Kulita. Not yet. I'll ask tonight. He's so stupid. He believes everything. Wesley's vision blurred. He scrolled up. Weeks of messages. Months. They talked every day. Pet names, sexual references, planning meetings, photos of Kulita in lingerie, poses she'd never done for Wesley. And then, 5 months back, a message that destroyed him. From Kulita. Charlie looks just like you. I'm so happy we have a son together. From, our son. Don't let the farang think too much. Wesley set the phone down carefully. His hands were trembling so badly he thought he might drop it. Charlie was babbling in the playpen, oblivious. Wesley's son, except Charlie wasn't his son. Charlie was this Thai man's son. Everything was a lie. The confirmation phase lasted the next 3 days. Wesley didn't confront her immediately. He needed to know everything. He hired a private investigator, a British expat who specialized in cheating spouse cases. Wesley gave him Kulita's photos, her schedule, her usual locations. The investigator came back a week later with a file that made Wesley want to vomit. Kulita had never left her Thai boyfriend. His name was Somchai. They'd been together for 6 years since before Wesley ever met her. Somchai was 34, a motorcycle taxi driver. He didn't make much money. That's where Wesley came in. Kulita was still working at the bar when she met Wesley. She'd told him she'd quit immediately, but that was a lie. She'd worked there another 6 months, until Wesley's monthly payments made it unnecessary. The house? She and Somchai had picked it out together. The massage shop? Somchai managed it now. Those weren't staff Kulita had hired. It was Somchai and his sister running the place. The money Wesley sent to her family? Some went to her mother. Most went to Somchai. The motorcycle wasn't for Kulita's brother. It was for Somchai. The new house? For her mother? Partially true, but also funded a house Somchai's parents lived in. Wesley sat in his car outside a coffee shop, reading the investigator's report. Suddenly, everything made sense. The old man at the bar that first month they were together, the one who'd looked at Kulita strangely and she'd rushed Wesley away from. That was probably a former customer who knew what she really was. The way she'd insisted on the house location, it was a 10-minute motorbike ride from Somchai's apartment. The times she'd said she was visiting her mother, the investigator had photos of her at Somchai's place, sometimes for 2 or 3 days. Charlie's appearance, dark skin, dark eyes, Thai features. Of course, he was fully Thai. The massage shop losing money because Kulita and Somchai were siphoning off the revenue. The shop made more than she'd ever reported. His friends acting uncomfortable, they'd known, or suspected, and didn't know how to tell him. Wesley calculated what he'd actually funded. $338,000 over 5 years. Approximately $67,000 per year. $1,800 per month. He'd been paying $1,800 a month to fund his wife's life with another man, to raise another man's child, to build a life that was never his. Wesley felt nausea, rage. But mostly, he felt humiliation. He was the joke. The stupid farang, the walking ATM, everyone knew except him. Bar girls probably laughed about guys like him. This is what they did. This was the business model. He had to decide what to do next. He could confront her quietly, try to negotiate some dignity. He could expose her publicly, make sure everyone knew what she'd done. He could just disappear, pack a bag, and go to the airport, never look back. Or he could stay silent, keep playing the fool. Because admitting the truth meant admitting he'd wasted 5 years of his life and $300,000 on a lie so obvious that strangers had seen it coming. Wesley chose confrontation, because if he didn't, he'd never forgive himself. On March 28, 2016, Wesley came home early. Kulita was there, playing with Charlie. He had printed photos from the investigator. He had screenshots of the messages. He was ready. March 28, 2016, 3 p.m. Kulita was on the living room floor with Charlie, stacking blocks. She looked up when Wesley entered, smiled that smile he'd fallen for 6 years ago. You're home early, honey. Wesley didn't smile back. He sat on the couch, placed a manila folder on the coffee table, and said, Kulida, we need to talk about some chai. Her face went white. The smile disappeared like someone had flipped a switch. She stood up slowly. What are you talking about? Wesley opened the folder, spread the photos across the table. Kulida at Somchai's apartment. Kulida and Somchai at a restaurant. Kulida, Somchai, and Charlie at a park looking like a family. Somchai's hand on her waist, her head on his shoulder. Wesley said calmly, Don't lie to me anymore. I know everything. Kulida's first move was denial, of course. Wesley, this is my friend. You don't understand. Thai people are close like this. You're being jealous. Her voice was shaking, too high-pitched. She was panicking. Wesley pulled out his phone, opened the translated messages, read them aloud. I hate pretending with this old man. He's so stupid. He believes everything. Should I keep reading? Kulida's face hardened. You went through my phone? You have no right. This is privacy. Wesley laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. I have no right? I've spent over $300,000 on you. I've raised another man's child. You're married to me, and you're talking about rights? Kulida tried a different tactic, tears. She sat down, covered her face, started sobbing. Wesley, please. I can explain. I love you. I made mistake. Please don't leave me. It was a performance. Wesley could see it now, the same performance she'd given him dozens of times over the years when she needed money, when she'd been caught in small lies. Wesley stayed cold. Explain, Charlie. Explain why my 2-year-old son looks completely Thai. Explain the message about how he looks just like Somchai. The crying stopped. Kulida looked up, mascara running, but her eyes were different now, harder, calculating. She said, quietly, Okay, you want truth? I tell you truth. The confession came out in pieces, reluctant, like pulling teeth. She'd never stopped seeing Somchai. They'd been together since before Wesley. When she met Wesley, Somchai told her to keep seeing him. Farang have money, Thai man have love. The plan was always to use Wesley for money while maintaining her real life with Somchai. They discussed it openly. Somchai, my real husband. You, my sponsor. Charlie was Somchai's child. She'd gotten pregnant about 3 months into her marriage with Wesley. She'd known immediately whose it was. They'd planned to pass it off as Wesley's. You wanted baby so much. You were so happy. I gave you what you wanted. The money, it had gone exactly where Wesley suspected. Some to her family, yes, but most to Somchai. The motorcycle. Setting up a small food cart business for him. Rent on a second apartment. Kulida and Somchai had been essentially married, living a parallel life funded entirely by Wesley. The shop? We were going to expand it. Make real money. You gave me money for investment. That's business. Wesley asked the questions he needed answered, even though each answer felt like a knife. Why me? Wesley asked. Kulida shrugged. You were nice. You had money. You were lonely. Easy. Did you ever love me? She hesitated, then decided on honesty. No, I tried to like you. You are okay. But no, I love Somchai. Who else knows? Does your family know? Everyone knows. My mother, my sister, my friends, Somchai's family. This is normal in Thailand. Many girls do this. The cold truths were devastating. About love, love doesn't pay bills, Wesley. You think I'm going to love old Farang man? You think Thai girl dreams of 60-year-old husband? This is business. About their relationship, you were never my real husband. You were, how to say, my ATM. I'm sorry, but it's true. About money, you gave it, I took it. That's how it works. You think I'm going to say no? You wanted to feel like big man, like hero. I let you feel that way. You paid for the feeling. About the future, I'm going to keep this house. Charlie will grow up here. You can leave. I don't care. Find another girl. Up to you. Wesley felt like he was watching this from outside his body. The woman he'd married, the mother of his son, the person he'd built a life with, she was a stranger. No, worse than a stranger. She was a predator who'd seen him coming from a mile away. Wesley's reaction came in waves. First, anger. He wanted to scream, to break something, to hurt her the way she'd hurt him. He stood up, fists clenched, and Kulida's eyes widened with fear, but he stopped himself. What would that accomplish? He'd end up in a Thai jail. The Thai police wouldn't care about a Farang's broken heart. Then came devastation. He sat back down, put his head in his hands. 5 years. 5 years of his life, believing this was real. 5 years of making plans, building dreams. Charlie, a little boy who called him Papa, wasn't his son. Wesley had changed his diapers, walked him to sleep, taught him to count in English, and none of it mattered. Charlie was Somchai's son. Kulida was Somchai's woman. Wesley was the fool who'd paid for it all. Finally, self-hatred, because everyone had seen this except him. Frank had warned him. The guys at the bar had joked about it, getting rinsed by his pattaya princess. Wesley had defended Kulida. He'd argued with anyone who questioned her. He'd been so desperate to believe this was real that he'd ignored every obvious sign. He'd done this to himself. The aftermath was quick. Kulida stood up, wiped her eyes, and said, "I'm going to my sister's house. Take Charlie. You can stay here tonight, but tomorrow I want you out." Wesley said, "This is my house. I paid for it." Kulida smiled a cold, triumphant smile. "Check the papers, Wesley. This is my house. You have no rights here. You're just guest. And now you're not welcome anymore." She packed a bag for herself and Charlie. Within 30 minutes, they were gone. Wesley sat in the silent house, the house he'd paid $80,000 for, the house he legally had zero claim to, and tried to process the complete destruction of his life. The legal and financial reality was stark. Everything was in Kulida's name, the house, the shop, even the car they'd bought last year. Wesley had no legal recourse. Foreign men have no property rights in Thailand. The marriage gave him nothing. They could divorce, but the assets would stay with Kulida. She owned everything. Wesley owned nothing. The itemized losses: house, $82,500, irrecoverable, in her name; massage shop, $15,200. She and Somchai own it. Car, $18,000, in her name; furniture and appliances, $12,000. Stays with the house family support payments, $81,000. Mostly went to Somchai baby expenses for another man's child, $48,000. Wedding, sinsat, gifts, allowances, misk, $81,300. Total unrecoverable, $338,000. Wesley had approximately $137,000 left. That was it. 29% of his retirement savings. He'd lost 71% of his money in 6 years. He was 66 years old. There was no recovering from this. Charlie, the little boy Wesley thought was his son, wasn't his. Wesley had no legal rights to him. Under Thai law, Somchai could be listed as the father if they wanted. Wesley couldn't fight for custody, couldn't demand visitation. He was nobody. The decision came quickly. Wesley had to leave. Staying in Thailand meant being reminded every day of his humiliation. Staying meant running into Kulida and Somchai around town. Staying meant people whispering about him at the expat bars. He couldn't stay. But he also couldn't go back to America. He didn't have enough money to rebuild a life there, and his kids barely spoke to him anyway. He needed somewhere cheap, somewhere he could stretch his remaining savings as far as possible. But he wasn't going to just disappear quietly. Wesley had one card left to play, and he was going to play it. The week after the confrontation, Wesley moved into a cheap hotel while he figured out his next move. Kulida sent him messages. "When are you leaving Thailand? Don't make trouble. Just go. She wanted him gone quickly, quietly. Wesley didn't respond. As he sat in that hotel room, Wesley started researching, digging, reaching out to other expats who'd been scammed. What he learned made everything worse. Wesley wasn't unique. This exact scam was common bar girl meets lonely foreigner, spins sob story, gets him to buy property in her name, maintains Thai, boyfriend on the side, bleeds him dry, then kicks him out when the money stops. Wesley learned there were hundreds, maybe thousands, of men who'd gone through identical stories. The details changed different cities, different amounts, but the structure was identical. It was a business model, and Wesley had fallen for it like every other idiot. He found out that Khalid's sick mother, who'd needed all that medical money, she was fine, healthy. The diabetes and blood pressure issues were exaggerated. Khalid's family wasn't starving or desperate. They were poor, yes, but functional. The money Wesley sent had gone into improving their lives incrementally while Khalida and Somchai pocketed the rest. The massage shop had actually been profitable. Somchai had been taking 80% of the revenue and telling Khalida to tell Wesley it was losing money so he'd keep investing. Wesley learned that Somchai wasn't even faithful to Khalida. He had another girlfriend, a younger woman in Bangkok, so Khalida was being cheated on while she was cheating on Wesley. The whole thing was a Russian nesting doll of deception. People had known. The security guard at the Muban had seen Somchai coming and going for years. Neighbors had seen Khalida, Somchai, and Charlie playing in the yard together when Wesley traveled. Wesley's friend Frank finally admitted he'd known for over a year, but didn't know how to tell him. Wes, man, nobody wants to be the one to destroy someone's life. I figured you'd find out eventually. I'm sorry. Wesley was the joke. Bar girls probably used his story as an example. See? Farang don't care. They'll believe anything if you smile and call them handsome. This was when Wesley understood Thailand really understood it. He'd thought Thailand was friendly, welcoming, easy. But the truth was darker. Many Thais viewed foreigners as walking ATMs. Not all there were good people, genuine people. But in places like Pattaya, in the bar scene, foreigners were prey. The smile was a business technique. Thai smile meant nothing. Belonging was an illusion sold to lonely men for profit. The system was designed to extract money from foreigners through legal and cultural mechanisms that left men with no recourse when things went bad. Wesley's mental state deteriorated. He wasn't sleeping. He'd lost 15 pounds. He had no one to talk to who understood. He thought of himself as a competent businessman, a man who'd built a successful company in America. But he'd been an idiot here. Naive, desperate, pathetic. Wesley had to decide his next move. His options: try to negotiate with Khalida, beg for some money back, maybe salvage something, pursue legal action in Thai courts, expensive, likely futile for a foreigner, cut his losses, leave Thailand, start over somewhere cheaper, make her pay in a different way. Wesley chose option 4, because fuck Khalida, fuck Somchai, fuck everyone who'd laughed at him behind his back. Wesley had one asset Khalida he didn't know about before the confrontation. He'd moved $70,000 into a separate Thai bank account Khalida had never seen. She thought he only had the one account they'd shared. The day before he left the house, Wesley had transferred almost every dollar out. He'd left $1,500 in the shared account so she wouldn't notice immediately. Over the next 2 weeks, Wesley quietly sold everything that was actually his. His laptop, his tools, his personal items. He transferred the money from the secret account to an international account Khalida couldn't access. He canceled his name on the utility bills, withdrew his name from the condo rental agreement he'd kept as a backup. He'd never canceled it, thank God, and made sure his finances were completely separate from hers. Then Wesley hired a lawyer, not to sue Khalida, but to file for divorce. Thai divorces can be quick if uncontested. Wesley offered her a deal through the lawyer. He'd give her $20,000, cash, and walk away from everything else. No fight, no drama. In exchange, she'd sign papers agreeing he owed her nothing, and she'd agree to leave him alone forever. Kulita thought she was winning. She got the house, the car, the shop, and $20,000 cash. She signed immediately. She even sent Wesley a message. "Thank you for understanding. I hope you find happiness." What Kulita didn't know was that Wesley had already reported the massage shop for tax evasion. He documented that it was earning far more than she'd ever reported. Thai tax authorities don't play around. Fines and penalties for unreported income can be massive. She'd have to deal with that mess for years. He also made sure Somchai's food cart didn't have proper licenses. One anonymous tip to the authorities, and Somchai's cart was shut down. Petty? Maybe. But Wesley felt satisfaction. Finally, Wesley changed his will. His original will had left everything to Kulita and Charlie. Now, everything would go to a Thai children's charity. Not one baht to Kulita. If something happened to Wesley, she'd get nothing. On April 30th, 2016, Wesley left Thailand. He'd booked a one-way ticket to Da Nang, Vietnam. Cheaper than Thailand, similar climate, and a place where he could rebuild or at least survive. What he didn't know was that leaving would feel like relief and devastation mixed together. Relief to be free of Kulita's lies. Devastation because he'd lost 6 years of his life, over half his retirement savings, and a little boy he'd loved as his son. April 30th, 2016. Wesley sat in Suvarnabhumi Airport, boarding pass to Da Nang in hand. He'd paid the $20,000 to Kulita the day before, watched her smile as she counted the cash, knowing she thought she'd won completely. But Wesley had managed something she didn't expect. Over the previous weeks, he'd quietly extracted $70,000 into accounts she'd never known existed. He'd sold everything portable. He'd ensured that while she got the house and physical assets, she didn't get to completely drain him dry. He left her the house worth $80,000, a car worth $18,000, and a massage shop that was about to be investigated for tax fraud. She'd have to spend money defending herself. She'd have to deal with the consequences of cutting corners and lies. Meanwhile, Wesley was escaping with $90,000. Not much for a 66-year-old man, but enough to survive somewhere cheap for the rest of his life if he was careful. As Wesley boarded the plane, he felt a strange mix of emotions. Part of him felt triumphant he'd gotten out, saved some money, made sure she'd face consequences. But mostly, he felt hollow. Victory felt empty when the cost was 6 years of his life and $338,000 spent on a lie. The last time Wesley saw Kulita was through his lawyer's office window. She'd come to sign the final divorce papers. She brought Somchai, with her bold, shameless. Wesley watched from the lawyer's second-floor window as they left, Somchai's arm around her shoulder, both of them laughing about something. Charlie wasn't with them. Wesley would never see Charlie again. Behind in Thailand, Wesley left. House, $82,500 paid, $0 recovered. Car, $18,000 paid, $0 recovered. Massage shop, $15,200 invested, $0 recovered. Furniture, appliances, possessions, $12,000, abandoned, 6 years of allowances, gifts, and family support, $190,300, 2 years of fatherhood to a child who wasn't his. Total financial loss, $318,000 after recovering $20K through liquidation. With him, Wesley had $90,000 in accessible funds, 2 suitcases of clothes and personal items, a British passport. Wesley had retained his childhood, UK citizenship, lucky for visa purposes, medications for blood pressure, depression, no family, no property, no purpose. Thailand. Final thoughts. Thailand had been beautiful and cruel in equal measure. The country itself wasn't evil. The beaches were still gorgeous, the food still incredible, the weather still perfect. But the system around vulnerable foreign men was predatory. Not every Thai person was a scammer. Wesley had met genuinely kind people. But in Pattaya, in the bar scene, among the girls who targeted older foreign men, there was a system. And Wesley had walked into it willingly, desperately, stupidly. What Thailand took: life savings, $318,000 net lost time, 6 years, identity. Wesley had thought of himself as smart, careful, successful. Thailand taught him he was none of those things. Trust. He'd never believe anyone again. Hope. At 66 there was no starting over. Not really. What Thailand gave: lessons he didn't want, a story he'd never tell anyone in full, awareness that loneliness makes men vulnerable, understanding that love and transaction often look identical until it's too late. Thailand wasn't unique in this. Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, Colombia. Anywhere poverty met foreign wealth, these dynamics existed, but Thailand had perfected it. The infrastructure was there: visa runs, property ownership restrictions designed to benefit Thai nationals, cultural norms around Sanak, fun, and Mai Penrai, never mind, that enabled avoidance of accountability. The system allowed Thai women to exploit foreign men legally, socially, and emotionally with little consequence. Wesley didn't blame all of Thailand, but he blamed the parts of Thai culture that enabled, encouraged, and celebrated extracting money from lonely foreign men under the guise of love. Current location: Da Nang, Vietnam. Wesley landed in Da Nang with $90,000, a plan to rent a cheap apartment, and no idea what the rest of his life looked like. He found a studio in the Hai Chow district for $250 a month, less than half what he'd paid in Jom Tien. His new daily life was simple and depressing. He'd wake up around 6 a.m., unable to sleep much anymore. He'd walk along the Han River for exercise. He'd eat breakfast at a local .com place for $2. He'd spend the day reading, watching movies, trying not to think about everything he'd lost. Dinner was cheap Vietnamese food. By 8 p.m., he was back in his studio, alone. Wesley had no real social connections. The expat scene in Da Nang was smaller, younger, more digital nomad types. Wesley didn't fit in. He was too old, too bitter, too obviously damaged. Emotional resolution: Wesley was surviving, but not living. Some days, he felt nothing, numb, going through motions. Other days, he felt rage at Kulita, at himself, at the world. Most days, he just felt tired. Tired of pretending things would get better. Tired of trying to rebuild. Tired of being alive at all. He'd wake up sometimes forgetting where he was, forgetting Kulita was gone, forgetting Charlie wasn't his son. Then reality would crash back and he'd lie in bed for an hour, staring at the ceiling, wondering what the point was. Wesley was broken. Not dramatically, no suicide attempts, no screaming breakdowns, just quietly, thoroughly broken. The kind of broken that doesn't heal because there's nothing left to heal with. November 2022. Wesley is now 72 years old. He's still in Da Nang, Vietnam. Financially, Wesley has about $58,000 left. He'd spent $32,000 over 6 years just on living expenses, medical costs, and inflation eating away at his budget. His Social Security and small pension still provide $2,200 a month. His rent is $300 now. Prices went up. He lives on about $1,400 per month total. He's saving about $800 monthly, but at his age, what's the point? Wesley lives in a 2-room apartment in An Hai Bac Ward, working-class Vietnamese neighborhood, far from tourist areas. He's anonymous here. Nobody knows his story. Nobody cares. Health-wise, Wesley has high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and arthritis in his knees. He takes medications daily. He goes to a local Vietnamese clinic, where doctors speak limited English but charge $10 for a consultation. He's aware he's declining. He's 72. He'll be lucky to make it to 80 with his current health trajectory. Wesley has no relationships to speak of. He nods at neighbors, exchanges basic greetings with the woman who runs the noodle shop downstairs. He has no friends. He doesn't want any. What would he even talk about? Emotionally, some days Wesley feels okay. He reads books, watches cooking shows on YouTube, takes his walks. Other days, he thinks about Charlie and feels like someone hollowed him out with a spoon. Most days, he just exists. Not happy, not suicidal, just there. He's accepted this is how his life will end alone, diminished, forgotten. If Wesley could go back, he'd never get on that plane to Thailand. He'd stay in New Mexico, buy a small house, volunteer somewhere, adopt a dog. He'd accept being lonely instead of paying 6 years and $300,000 to pretend he wasn't. But he can't go back. Time only moves forward. And forward, for Wesley, just means more of the same until his heart gives out or his money runs out, whichever comes first. Looking ahead, Wesley has no prospects. He'll keep living in Da Nang until he can't anymore. When his health fails or his money runs out, he'll die here. Maybe someone will notify his kids in America. Maybe they'll care enough to arrange cremation. Maybe not. Wesley tries not to think about it. This is what 6 years in Thailand cost him. This is what love looked like when it was a lie. This is what happens when loneliness makes you stupid. If you're reading this, you're probably considering a move to Thailand, or you're already there and something feels wrong. Good. That feeling is your survival instinct. Here are 7 things Wesley learned the hard way, lessons that cost him $318,000 in 6 years of his life. Lesson: Hashon, never put property in her name. Wesley thought, we're married. She's my wife. Of course the house should be in her name. I can't own land anyway, and she needs security. The truth is that security only goes one direction. The moment you sign property into her name, you own nothing. If she decides you're done, you're out. You'll have no legal recourse, no leverage, no rights. Thai courts don't care about your sob story. Here's what you should do instead. Rent. Always rent. If she insists on buying a house and you're stupid enough to pay for it, make sure the ownership structure is ironclad. Get a real lawyer, not her brother's friend. Get a lease agreement giving you lifetime residence rights. Get everything translated and notarized. Or, better yet, don't buy it all. The moment she demands property, walk away. This cost Wesley $82,500. Lesson: #2. If the age gap is 20 plus years, it's not love. Wesley was 60. Kulita was 27. That's a 33-year gap. Wesley told himself age doesn't matter, that she loved him for who he was, that Westerners were more attractive to Thai women. He was lying to himself. Ask yourself honestly, would this woman be with you if you were broke? If you worked at 7-Eleven? If you had no money to give her family? If the answer is no, she's not with you, she's with your wallet. A 27-year-old woman doesn't fall in love with a 60-year-old man because of his personality. She's there because you're funding a life she can't afford otherwise. Wesley believed the fantasy because he was lonely and desperate. Don't make his mistake. Lesson #3. The family emergencies never stop. Kulita's family had a never-ending series of crises. Mother's medicine, brother's motorcycle, sister's wedding, uncle's funeral, roof repairs, school fees, water buffalo died, truck broke down, on and on and on. Wesley sent $81,000 to family emergencies over 6 years. The truth? Most of those emergencies were exaggerated or fake. Thai families do support each other, and poverty is real. But when you're dating a bar girl, those emergencies become a revenue stream. She'll cry. She'll say her mother might die. She'll make you feel like a monster for hesitating. Set boundaries. If you're going to help with family costs, set a monthly limit and stick to it. No extra, no exceptions. If she pushes, walk away. If her family really needs help, they'll accept the amount you offer. If they keep demanding more, you're being scammed. Wesley sent $81,000. He should have sent zero. Lesson hash 4. Don't invest in her business dreams. Kulita wanted a massage shop. She promised it would make money, give her independence, provide for the family. Wesley gave her $15,000 for startup and operating costs. The shop was just another way to extract money. She and her Thai boyfriend used it as their personal income source while telling Wesley it was barely breaking even. The reality about Thai businesses run by bar girls: they almost always fail. Why? Because she doesn't actually want to work. She wants easy money. Running a business is hard. Scamming a foreign boyfriend is easy. Even if the business somehow makes money, you'll never see a return. The profits will disappear into expenses or reinvestment or her personal account. Here are the rules. Never invest in her business. If she wants to work, support that, but don't fund it. If she insists you invest, walk away. She's looking for a sponsor, not a partner. Wesley lost $15,000 on a business that made money for everyone except him. Lesson hash 5. Sinsat is a trap. Kulita's family demanded 300,000 baht for Sinsot, about $9,000. Wesley negotiated down to 200,000, $6,000. He thought he was being smart. He was still being scammed. They say it's tradition, a sign of respect, a way to honor the bride's family. In reality, it's a fee to access the woman. Some families return it after the ceremony, most don't. In bar-girl marriages, Sinsat is just another extraction mechanism. The family gets paid, you get nothing. Here's the rule. Sinsat should be proportional to the bride's actual status. A doctor's daughter might command high Sinsat. A bar worker's Sinsot should be minimal or zero. If her family insists on massive Sinsot for a bar girl, they're testing you. They want to see how much they can extract. Walk away. Wesley paid $6,000. He saw exactly zero of it ever again. Lesson hash 6. The red flags were there. Wesley ignored them. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. Kulita's story about her ex was always vague. When Wesley asked questions, she changed the subject. That vagueness was intentional. She was hiding the fact he wasn't an ex. She kept odd hours, disappeared for entire days with weak excuses. Wesley accepted, "I'm visiting my friend," without question. Charlie looked nothing like Wesley, not just a little different, completely Thai. Wesley convinced himself genetics were complicated. Why did Wesley ignore these signs? Because he was afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of admitting he'd made a mistake. Afraid that if he pushed too hard, she'd leave. That fear cost him everything. Here's the truth. Your gut knows. When something feels wrong, it probably is wrong. Don't rationalize. Don't make excuses. Investigate. Ask hard questions. Demand proof. If she gets angry or defensive, that's your answer right there. Lesson hash 7. Thailand is not your friend. This isn't about individual Thai people. Wesley met kind, honest Thai people. But the system, the legal structure, the cultural norms around foreign men, the infrastructure supporting bar girl scams is designed to extract money from foreigners. Here are the realities. Property law. You can't own land. Anything you buy is hers. You have no rights. Business law. Foreigners face restrictions on what businesses they can own. Your Thai partner controls everything. Marriage law. Thai marriages heavily favor the Thai spouse. Foreign men have minimal rights in divorces. Courts. Thai courts rule in favor of Thais. You're an outsider. You will lose. Culture. Farang, foreigner, is not a neutral term. It marks you as different, and often as prey. If you're going to Thailand, understand that you are operating in a system that does not protect you. You are a guest, and guests have no power. Don't buy property. Don't marry without ironclad prenups. Don't trust that love will protect you. It won't. Lesson has height. Don't sacrifice your security for anyone. This is the biggest lesson. Wesley gave up his financial security for Kulita. He thought he was building a future. He was funding someone else's life. Wesley had $475,000. If he'd invested that conservatively, say, 4% annual return, he'd have earned $19,000 per year in passive income. Added to his Social Security, he'd have lived comfortably for the rest of his life without touching the principal. Instead, he spent $318,000 on a woman who never loved him. If he hadn't, Wesley would have $600,000 now with growth. He'd own a home somewhere cheap. He'd be comfortable, secure, independent. Instead, he's 72, living in a studio in Vietnam, with $58,000 in declining health. The warning is simple. Do not give anyone the power to destroy your financial future. Not your wife, not your girlfriend, not anyone. Set limits. Protect your assets. Keep money in your name, in your accounts, in your country. If she demands access to your money, if she insists on property in her name, if she makes you choose between her and your security, choose your security every time. Because if you don't, you'll end up like Wesley, 72, broke, alone, and full of regrets. These 7 lessons cost Wesley $318,000 and 6 years. He's giving them to you for free. Maybe someone will listen. If you're reading this, you're probably planning a move to Thailand, or you're already there and something feels wrong. Maybe your girlfriend is asking for money for her sick mother. Maybe she wants you to buy a house. Maybe she says she loves you but won't let you meet her family. Maybe you've noticed she's always on her phone, texting in Thai, and when you ask who it is, she says, "My sister." Don't do what Wesley did. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't convince yourself she's different. Don't throw good money after bad because you're afraid of admitting you made a mistake. You'll end up 72 years old, living in a shitty studio apartment in a foreign country, with no money, no family, no hope, and no way to undo the damage. If you're considering Thailand, visit Don't Move permanently until you understand what your goals. Walking in to keep your money in your home country. In accounts she can't access, rent forever. Never buy property. Set a strict monthly budget for helping her or her family, and never exceed it. Assume any woman you meet in a bar is working, even if she says she's not. Get a prenuptial agreement if you're stupid enough to marry. DNA test any children immediately. Don't wait. Trust your instincts if it feels wrong. It is wrong if you're already in Thailand and seeing red flags. Don't throw good money after bad. The money you've already spent is gone. Don't lose more trying to save a relationship that's fake. Sunk cost is already sunk. Protecting what you have left matters more than recouping what you've lost. Get out before it's too late. The longer you stay, the more you'll lose. Your pride isn't worth your future. Everyone makes mistakes. Don't compound yours by staying in a bad situation because you're embarrassed to leave. There's no shame in admitting you were scammed. The shame is in letting it continue. The alternative ending: Wesley is 72, living on $58,000 in a studio apartment in Vietnam. He has no family, no property, no future. This is what 6 years in Thailand cost him. You still have time. You still have your money. You still have a choice. Make the right one. Learn from Wesley's story. Don't become another one. Thailand is beautiful, but it can be beautifully cruel. Protect yourself, because nobody else will.